Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now in the House of Commons yesterday, the chair of the Home Select Committee, Dame Diana Johnson, wanted to ask the reappointed Home Secretary Suella Braverman if she will make a statement on the situation at the Manston facility for cross-channel migrants. And of course our leaky Sue was only too happy to oblige and defend the government's robustness on this matter. No, it was left to honest Bob Jenrick to soil himself in the light of the damning evidence heard the day before in the Home Affairs Select Committee meeting from not only Dame Diana Johnson herself, also Tim Laughton and Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. Hold on to your hats, folks. It's going to be a bumpy one.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm grateful to the Right Honourable Lady for this question. The continued rise in dangerous small boat crossings is placing an unprecedented strain on our asylum system. The Manston Processing Centre is a single and secure environment which is used to deliver the crucial first stage of the asylum assessment process in a more integrated manner than was possible in the past. It's resourced and equipped to process migrants securely, whilst efforts are made to provide alternative accommodation as soon as possible. The basic needs of arrivals are provided for at the site. This includes hot food, fresh clothing, toilet facilities, sanitary packs, and medical care. There is 24/7 medical provision, and a GP began work on the site on Monday. Families and vulnerable adults are prioritised for separate hotel accommodation. Full border security checks are carried out before anyone leaves the Manston site, and where possible, those seeking asylum in the UK are also interviewed and their asylum claims are registered before leaving. As of 8 o'clock this morning, there were 2,636 arrivals at Manston. We have over 900 people working at Manston, including trained Home Office staff, contractors, military personnel with support from security staff. Over 170 people left the site for onward accommodation yesterday alone, and this continues into today, with 15 arrivals having moved on already from Manston. This requires us to source appropriate onward accommodation to house asylum seekers for a longer term period. We do not want to place asylum seekers in accommodation which may leave them more vulnerable and without access to appropriate services. Lieutenant General Stuart Skeets was seconded to the Home Office on the 12th of October. He will bring a wealth of experience and is now putting in place the necessary command and control structure as we move forwards and ensure this site operates to a manner which we would all expect. We urge anyone, as always, who's thinking about leaving a safe country and putting their lives and those of their children and loved ones in the hands of vile people smugglers to seriously reconsider. This government will deliver a fair and effective immigration system which works in the interests of the British people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting this urgent question. Can I welcome the Minister to his place, although I am very disappointed that the Home Secretary is not here answering this very important urgent question. And I do not recognise, actually, the description that the Minister has given to the House. The situation at the Manston facility for cross-channel migrants constitutes a major incident that is escalating in severity. The Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration just yesterday described it at the Home Affairs Select Committee, and I quote, a really dangerous situation, and had left him speechless. The number of individuals currently being detained of around 3,000 is larger than any prison in this country and vastly outstrips its capacity of 1,600 people. Detainees are being guarded by people described by the Chief Inspector as not appropriately trained, and he further warned there's a risk of fire, infection and disorder spreading within the facility. The committee also heard that people are being held for well over 24 hours, some as long as a month. As of Monday, one Syrian family had been detained for 2 weeks, while another Afghan family had been held there for 32 days. There is a serious question about the legality of detaining people at the facility for more than 24 hours. So can the Minister confirm how long the government can legally detain people at a short-term holding facility? The facility was not designed for people to stay there for more than 24 hours. Families are being housed for weeks on camp beds with no on-site catering facilities and limited personal and clothes washing facilities. Several cases of diphtheria and scabies have been detected. Can the Minister confirm what the timeline is for upgrading facilities so that they are safe and fit for purpose? Can he also confirm what action will be taken specifically to safeguard children being detained there? And in terms of staff safety and well-being, what conversations has he had with the Immigration Services Union? The evidence we heard indicates that the situation unfolding at Manston is not some unforeseeable mishap, but the product of a malfunctioning system. Why were the warning signs of this impending crisis not acted upon earlier when numbers started to escalate in August with 8,000 people crossing the Channel, and thereby avoiding this current situation? What exactly did the Home Secretary do about the situation at Manston in her previous tenure as Home Secretary? And finally, Mr Speaker, will the Minister agree that the Home Affairs Select Committee can visit Manston next week?
Well, I'm grateful to the Right Honourable Lady for her kind words on my appointment. I was honoured to be appointed by the Prime Minister 48 hours ago to help my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, to lead the Home Office forward and to tackle issues like this, which are of the greatest concern to the British public. We want to build a fair immigration system that enables those people who come to the UK under safe and legal routes to do so, but is robust for those choosing to come here illegally, because it isn't right that people smugglers are enabling people to risk their lives in dangerous channel crossings, and that those individuals who are often coming from safe countries are doing so at the expense of people that we would want to bring to this country, like those from Hong Kong, like those from Afghanistan, like those from Ukraine. With respect to the specific questions that she raises, I was of course concerned to read the evidence that was presented to her committee yesterday by David Neal, the Independent Chief Inspector. I will be meeting Mr Neal next week and will be listening to his concerns directly. And I intend to visit Manston as soon as possible, hopefully next week. We want to ensure that the site is maintained legally, of course. It's absolutely essential that any site that the Home Office operates is managed within the law. There have been a number of concerns raised by Mr Neal, and if I can refer briefly to as many of those as possible, I will do. With respect to the conditions of individuals staying at the site was designed as a temporary site. Individuals entering it are supposed to only stay for a matter of hours, perhaps 24 hours at a maximum. And so as a result of that, the facilities are temporary. Nonetheless, people are given accommodation which is heated, which has air conditioning, which has food, which has medical supplies. Families are prioritised for better accommodation and to have swift opportunities to leave and go and be accommodated within hotels. I was concerned at Mr Neal's suggestion that there had been a degree of unrest or health considerations. I'm told that, although there have been some incidents, the site is mainly stable, but I will be taking that up further and seeing it for myself when I visit. There have been a very small number of cases of diphtheria. Those individuals were isolated and public health guidelines were immediately followed. A permanent ward and doctor have been created in order to manage that situation. And our longer-term plan is clearly to reduce the population at Manston as quickly as is practicable. In the numbers that I read out in my opening remarks, the population of the site is reducing. However, it is very dependent on the numbers coming across the Channel. And so our longer-term aim has to be to strongly deter people from making this extremely dangerous crossing of the Channel and to use all means available to us. And I hope that's something that can unite all of us across the House, because it cannot be right that individuals are leaving a safe country, our closest, safest ally, France, to come to the United Kingdom and risk their lives, and in doing so, coming to sites like Manston are putting immense pressure on the system, meaning that we are not able to fulfil our obligations to individuals coming, for example, from Ukraine, Afghanistan, or other countries safely and legally, which must be the first priority of the UK government.
Two more.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The evidence we heard from David Neil yesterday was shocking and certainly presented a very different picture of Manston than the committee had seen when we visited earlier in the summer. I'm glad to hear the Minister is meeting David Neil next week. May I suggest that the Home Secretary may sit in on that meeting, because he has not been able to meet a single Home Secretary since he was appointed, despite several requests. The other shocking revelation yesterday, which is partly connected with the logjam at Manston, is the fact of those who came across in small boats in 2021, some 28,000 people, only 4% of them have so far had their claims processed, which means an enormous backlog. What is the Minister going to do, treating as his highest priority, to get those applications processed much more swiftly and people who do not have a claim to be here removed from this country, freeing up space for those who genuinely do have a claim?
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend for the question and his long-standing interest in this issue. He's absolutely right that part of a fair and robust asylum system is that individuals who do come to the UK have their claims processed as quickly as possible, and if they are denied, that they're removed from the UK at the earliest opportunity. This will be a priority for myself and my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary. We will be reviewing the backlog of cases to see how we can improve the productivity of the Home Office. I'm told that there are now 1,000 individuals who are working through those cases, and so it must be possible for us to reduce that backlog quickly. There are other countries, like France and like Greece, which are more productive, which are faster at processing claims, and so I intend to review their processes, see what we can learn, and see if we're able to bring those processes to bear here in the UK and have a better system.
Could I come to the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, Yvette Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I welcome the Immigration Minister, congratulate him on his appointment and thank the Select Committee Chair for securing this UQ. The government's handling of the dangerous channel crossings has been disastrous. There's been a huge proliferation of criminal gangs operating in the channel, failure to have requisite policing and cross-border cooperation in place. We've seen a big increase in the dangerous boat crossings, putting thousands of lives at risk that everyone should be working to stop, and a collapse in asylum decision-making, taking 14,000 decisions a year compared to 28,000 initial decisions just 6 years ago. And the report, it's now taking on average 480 days to make an initial decision. And that is playing into the hands of people traffickers and smugglers. We also had reports of hundreds of children going missing, soaring backlog, huge hotel bills, security and fingerprinting failures, and then the devastating reports of what's happening at Manston, including the Chief Inspector saying this was dangerous and describing an Afghan family who had been in a marquee for 32 days. This follows damning independent reports on the government's handling of this, and a series too of rhetorical and expensive gimmicks that don't actually solve the problem. So given the Minister really sounds complacent in response, can he confirm the Home Secretary was previously given options to ease the situation at Manston and refused to act? Will he now accept that these expensive gimmick policies, such as spending £140 million on a Rwanda policy that is unworkable, unethical, and the Home Secretary herself has said is failing, is the wrong approach, and he should put that money instead into boosting the National Crime Agency and tackling the criminal gangs? And can they tell us when will the backlog be cleared? This is too important for the kind of chaos that we've had for the last few years.
Quite shocking, really, eh? Our honest Bob is either thick or is just pretending to be thick. He keeps prattling on about these vulnerable people taking these illegal routes should go through the proper channels. Well, if they could, they won't be risking their lives in one of the biggest shipping lanes in a dinghy in the world, would they, honest Bob? Also, there's nothing illegal as far as I know about claiming asylum, is there? And I think he fully knows that as well too. I'm also tired of hearing they should stay in the very first country they go to and all that guff. Honest Bob, why should they? There's no law that forces them to. And also, when he talks about France, is he suggesting that France should control our borders? I thought we had to leave the evil overlords of the EU to do that. But anyway, what do you guys think about what you heard? Let me know in the comments below. Right, I shall leave the video here. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.